There is a strategy so powerful, so quietly seductive, that no contact looks weak next to it. And listen folks, most men never understand this. They think no contact means winning. She leaves you, stop texting you, stop calling you, disappear, and you wait for her to feel your absence. But if you are still watching her stories, still hoping she misses your body beside her, still wondering if she thinks about your touch, then you are not powerful. You are just silent, while she still owns your mind. Maybe you know that feeling, my friend. You do not send the message, but your chest tightens every time your phone lights up. You tell yourself you are done, but deep down you are imagining the moment she comes back, softens her voice, and realizes she lost a man she cannot replace. Here is the hard truth. Silence only works when your desire is under control. If your body is still craving her, your mind still chasing her, and your emotions still waiting for her approval, then no contact is just another form of begging without words. The strategy stronger than no contact is indifference. Not fake coldness, not childish games, real indifference. The kind where her beauty no longer controls your discipline, her absence no longer breaks your focus, and her return no longer decides your worth. Today I will show you how a man goes from broken by love to untouchable. You will learn why no contact is only the beginning, how to turn pain into power, how to win without words, and how to stay calm if she comes back. Stay with me, because the move she never sees coming is the moment you stop needing her to come back. Let's get into it. Number 1. Broken by love. Let's be honest, folks. Before a man becomes untouchable, he usually gets broken first. Not a little disappointed, not mildly upset. Broken in that quiet, humiliating way where he still goes to work, still answers people, still acts normal. But inside he is carrying a woman who already walked away. You know the kind of pain I am talking about, my friend. The late-night conversations that once felt intimate, the private jokes, the way she used to look at you like you were different from every other man, the warmth of her body next to yours, the plans you made, the little signs that convinced you this was something solid. Then one day, everything changed. Her voice got colder, her replies got shorter, her affection started feeling borrowed, and eventually she left. Picture Daniel, 52, a mortgage broker in Phoenix, and Rebecca, 47, a divorced nurse he dated for 2 years. Daniel thought he had finally found peace after a rough marriage. Rebecca laughed at his old stories, stayed over on weekends, and once told him she had never felt so safe with a man. Then, slowly, she pulled back. She said she needed space. She said she was confused. One Friday night she ended it with a calm message that felt like a knife wrapped in polite words. Daniel read it 7 times, trying to find softness hidden somewhere between the lines. That is what heartbreak does. It turns a grown man into a detective of pain. He studies old texts, he checks timestamps, he replays conversations. He wonders whether he missed a warning sign, whether he loved too much, whether another man is now hearing the soft voice that used to belong to him. And because his pride is wounded, he tells himself he just wants closure. But deep down, what he wants is control. He wants the story to stop hurting. This is the fall. It is the moment a man realizes he gave someone the power to shape his emotional weather. If she texted, he felt alive. If she went silent, he felt small. If she smiled, he relaxed. If she pulled away, his whole body tightened. That is not love in its strongest form. That is attachment without self-command. A Stoic man does not shame himself for feeling pain. Pain is human. Missing her is human. Wanting her body, her voice, her tenderness, her familiar presence is human. But staying on the floor because she left is a choice. At some point, a man has to look at his own suffering and ask, am I grieving love or am I worshipping loss? That question matters, because if you never face the fall, honestly, every strategy after this becomes fake. No contact becomes performance. Silence becomes a mask. Discipline becomes revenge. You cannot build real indifference on top of denial. You have to admit that she hurt you. You have to admit that part of you still wants her to notice. then you begin taking your power back from that truth. And folks, that honesty is where the rebuild starts. Not in pretending you are fine, not in acting cold online, in facing the wound without letting it become your identity anymore. So if you are broken right now, do not pretend you are not. Stand inside the pain without letting it own you. A man is not weak because a woman hurt him. He becomes weak when he turns that wound into a throne and lets her sit there forever. If this is where your comeback begins, write this below. I rise again. Stay with me, because the next lesson reveals why no contact alone can still keep you trapped if your heart is secretly waiting. Number 2. No contact is not enough. Let me say this clearly, folks. No contact is powerful, but it is not the finish line. It is only the doorway. A lot of men stop texting, stop calling, stop reaching out, and then convince themselves they are strong. But inside, they are still sitting by the phone, like a starving man waiting for the dinner bell. That is not freedom, my friend. That is silence with expectation. No contact can keep your hands from moving, but it does not automatically free your mind. You may not send her a message, but you still check if she viewed your story. You may not call her, but you still wonder if she misses your voice. You may not show up at her door, but your imagination still walks back into her bedroom, her smile, her touch, her old softness. If your body is still craving her return and your emotions are still waiting for a sign, you are not detached. You are just suffering more quietly. This is where men confuse discipline with strategy. They think not reaching out is enough. But if the only reason you are silent is because you hope your silence makes her come back, then she still controls the whole game. Your silence is not self-respect yet. It is a message you are secretly hoping she reads. Epictetus said freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Think about that. Her reaction is beyond your control. Her regret is beyond your control. Whether she thinks about you at midnight is beyond your control. Whether she remembers your body beside hers, your laugh, your presence, your strength, that is beyond your control too. What is yours is your focus, your discipline, your dignity, and the way you rebuild your life when no one is watching. That is why no contact is not enough, because a man can be silent and still be emotionally enslaved. He can disappear from her phone while still living inside her memory like a prisoner. He can refuse to text, but still build his entire day around the possibility that she might break first. A Stoic man does not want that kind of victory. He does not want to win by making her blink. He wants to become so centered that her blinking no longer decides his peace. That is the deeper level. No contact says I will not reach out. Indifference says my life is moving whether you reach out or not. Now do not misunderstand this. No contact has value. It stops you from humiliating yourself. It protects you from begging, negotiating, over-explaining, and turning one heartbreak into 6 months of emotional weakness. It gives your nervous system space. It breaks the habit of chasing. It allows reality to breathe. But if you do nothing with that space, if you just sit there counting days, then no contact becomes a waiting room. And folks, a waiting room is not a comeback. Use the silence to rebuild. Train your body, fix your sleep, clean your home, handle your money, spend time with men who sharpen you. Stop rereading old messages like they are holy scripture. Stop checking her page like it contains the answer to your worth. Every time you do that, you hand her power again. No contact is the first act of control, but the real work is becoming a man who no longer needs contact to feel whole. If you are ready to stop waiting in silence and start rebuilding with discipline, write this below. I reclaim power. Keep watching, because the next lesson shows the strategy that cuts deeper than silence and makes her realize you are no longer emotionally available to be controlled. Number 3. Indifference beats silence. Let's get this straight, folks. Silence can make a woman notice your absence, but indifference makes her feel that she no longer controls your world. Those are not the same thing. A silent man may still be suffering. A silent man may still be waiting. A silent man may still be checking his phone like every vibration could bring him back to life. But an indifferent man has crossed a different line. He is not trying to be seen anymore. That is what makes indifference stronger than no contact, my friend. No contact says, I will not message you. Indifference says, you are no longer the center of my emotional life. No contact can still be full of hope. Indifference is full of direction. It does not ask whether she misses you. It asks whether you are becoming the man you were supposed to be before heartbreak distracted you. Picture Marcus, 54, a gym owner in San Diego, and Olivia, 48, a real estate agent, who ended their relationship after months of mixed signals. At first, Marcus did what most men do. He went quiet, but inside he was burning. He checked if Olivia watched his stories. He asked mutual friends how she seemed. He posted a few polished photos hoping she would notice. That was not indifference. That was performance, with better lighting. Then something changed. Marcus stopped posting for reaction. He stopped asking about her. He stopped arranging his life around the fantasy of her return. He trained harder, reopened a business plan he had abandoned, took a trip with old friends, and began sleeping through the night again. When Olivia finally saw him at a charity event, she expected tension. She expected hunger. She expected the old pull. Instead, Marcus smiled, spoke calmly, and kept moving. That shook her more than any silence ever could. Why? Because silence can still feel like a message. Indifference feels like the message was never sent. She cannot read it. She cannot decode it. She cannot use it to know where she stands in your heart. And people often become curious when access disappears without drama. But listen carefully. This is not about becoming cruel. A Stoic man does not use indifference to punish. He does not act cold to make her suffer. He simply removes her from the throne inside his mind. He returns to himself. He stops letting her beauty, her memories, her voice, or her absence decide the temperature of his day. That kind of control has a quiet, masculine pull, not because you are trying to seduce her through distance, but because self-possession is attractive. A man who is not emotionally begging has weight. He can feel desire and not obey it. He can remember intimacy and not chase it. He can miss someone and still choose himself. That is real power, folks, and most men never reach it because they keep waiting, not pretending you forgot her, not blocking her just to see if she panics, not posting quotes about loyalty. Real power is when her name no longer hijacks your body, when her silence no longer ruins your morning, when her possible return no longer feels like salvation. So practice indifference by redirecting energy. Every time you want to check on her, check on your purpose. Every time you want to imagine her regret, build something she has nothing to do with. Silence closes the door. Indifference makes you stop standing behind it. If you are ready to stop performing silence and start living free, write this below. I need nothing. Stay with me, because the next lesson reveals why the moment you stop needing her reaction is often the moment she starts wondering what she lost. Number 4. Make her wonder again. Let's be clear, folks. The moment you stop needing her reaction, something strange happens. She begins to feel the space where her control used to be, and that space becomes loud. Not because you begged, not because you posted sad quotes, not because you tried to make her jealous. She wonders because your energy no longer reaches toward her. That is the dark side of attraction, my friend. People often become curious about what they can no longer predict. When she believes you are still waiting, she feels safe in her decision. She may even feel powerful. She imagines you checking your phone, replaying her words, hoping she changes her mind. But when your life starts moving without signals, without emotional noise, without little attempts to be noticed, her certainty begins to crack. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In this situation, the best response is not to become bitter, dramatic, or desperate. It is to become unavailable to the emotional pattern that once controlled you. She expected pain from you. She expected pursuit. She expected proof that she still had a place in your mind. Instead, she sees discipline. That is what makes her wonder again, because nothing unsettles certainty like a man who stops asking to be chosen. She may notice you are not watching her stories anymore. She may notice mutual friends no longer hear you asking about her. She may notice your posts are not about heartbreak, loneliness, or revenge. You are not broadcasting pain. You are not advertising healing. You are simply living. That silence has a different weight because it is not begging to be interpreted. Now listen carefully. The goal is not to make her suffer. A Stoic man does not build his life around her regret. If your whole strategy is to make her wonder, you are still controlled by her. The real goal is to become so grounded that her wondering becomes a side effect, not the mission. This is where most men fail. They perform growth. They take gym pictures for her. They go out with friends hoping she sees. They post mysterious captions hoping she reads between the lines. That is not power. That is still a conversation with her just without words. A man who is truly rebuilding does not need her as the audience. His life is not a stage for her reaction. And folks, if these lessons are helping you become stronger, calmer, and harder to manipulate emotionally, consider joining the channel as a member. Membership supports deeper teachings for men who are serious about Stoic discipline, relationship clarity, and masculine self-respect. If you want more than surface advice, this is where we go deeper together. Here is the masculine truth. A woman wonders most when she sees that your desire has discipline. She may remember your body, your voice, the way you once wanted her, but now she cannot feel you reaching. That absence creates tension, not cheap tension, real tension. The kind that comes when a man has withdrawn his hunger and returned to his throne. So do not chase her mind, occupy your own. Do not ask whether she is thinking about you. Ask whether you are thinking clearly. Do not build your comeback around being missed. Build it around being restored. If she wonders, let her wonder. If she does not, you still win because you are no longer living for her attention. If you are ready to stop performing for her curiosity and start moving with real power, write this below. I move forward. Stay tuned because the next lesson shows how to turn the pain she left behind into the very force that rebuilds you. Number 5. Turn pain into power. Let's be honest, folks. Pain will either make a man smaller or sharper. There is no neutral ground. When a woman leaves, rejects you, or pulls her warmth away after you gave her your time, your body, your attention, and your trust, that pain does not simply disappear. It goes somewhere. If you do not direct it, it will turn into obsession, bitterness, weakness, and late-night stupidity. But if you use it correctly, my friend, pain becomes fuel. Picture Richard, 57, a construction supervisor from Dallas, and Melissa, 51, a woman he dated after his divorce. Melissa brought back parts of him he thought were dead. She made him feel wanted again. She laughed at his dry humor, cooked with him on Sundays, and made his house feel alive. Then one afternoon she told him she did not feel the same anymore. No screaming, no dramatic fight. Just a calm ending that left Richard sitting in his truck outside a grocery store, staring at nothing. For 2 weeks he nearly broke. He wanted to text her. He wanted to ask what changed. He wanted to remind her of every intimate moment she seemed to forget so easily. But one night he looked at himself in the bathroom mirror and realized something. His pain was not proof that he was weak. It was proof that he still had energy. The question was whether he would waste that energy chasing her or use it to rebuild himself. That is the Stoic shift. You stop asking, how do I make her feel this pain too? You start asking, what can this pain build in me? A weak man turns heartbreak into performance. He posts sad quotes. He drinks too much. He stalks her pages. He tells everyone he is fine while secretly hoping she hears he is suffering. A stronger man takes that same pain and puts it into action. He trains. He works. He cleans his home. He fixes his finances. He returns to the friendships he neglected. He starts sleeping better, eating better, standing straighter, and speaking less from desperation. That does not mean he is not hurting. It means he refuses to let hurt become his identity. And folks, there is a quiet, masculine force in a man who rebuilds without making an announcement. No speech. No revenge tour. No need to prove that she lost something. Just discipline. Day after day, rep after rep, choice after choice. He becomes harder to reach emotionally because he has stopped offering his pain as evidence that he still cares. This is where transformation becomes seductive in the strongest sense. A woman may remember the man who begged, but she respects the man who rebuilt. She may expect you to crumble, she may expect you to chase. But when your pain turns into sharper focus, stronger presence, and calmer energy, she feels the difference even if she never admits it. Do not waste your suffering, my friend. Suffering is expensive. If it costs you sleep, peace, appetite, pride, and focus, then make it pay you back. Use it to become disciplined enough that no woman can destroy your center again. Every painful memory becomes a weight in your hands. You can either let it crush your chest, or you can lift it until your mind gets stronger. That is how a man turns heartbreak into structure instead of your prison. Write this below: I use pain. Stay with me, because the next lesson shows how the strongest man in the room often wins without saying a single word. Number 6. Win without words. Let me tell you something, folks. The strongest comeback is not the one you announce. It is the one people feel before you ever explain it. A man who has truly changed does not need to post about healing, brag about discipline, or send some long message proving he is different now. He lets his life speak so clearly that words become unnecessary. This is where most men lose power after heartbreak. They want witnesses. They want her to know they are doing better. They want mutual friends to report back. They want to post the right picture, the right quote, the right smile, the right gym progress, hoping she sees it and thinks maybe I lost him. But my friend, if your growth is still aimed at her reaction, you have not escaped yet. You are just performing freedom. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That is the whole lesson here. Stop explaining that you are stronger. Be stronger. Stop telling people you have moved on. Move on. Stop trying to convince her you are no longer the man she left. Become so focused on your own life that convincing her feels beneath you. Winning without words means your actions carry the message. You train when nobody is watching. You keep your promises to yourself. You handle your money. You clean your environment. You stop drinking your pain into the floor. You stop texting people just to distract yourself from loneliness. You become disciplined in the private hours, because private discipline is what gives public presence its weight. A Stoic man does not need an audience for his transformation. He knows the most important victories happen where no one claps. The moment you choose not to check her profile, that is a victory. The moment you feel the urge to send one more message and you do not, that is a victory. The moment you return to your work while your heart is still heavy, that is a victory. No one may see it, but you are rebuilding your spine in silence. And here is the strange part. People eventually feel it. She may see you months later and notice that your energy is different, not louder, not colder, different. Your eyes are calmer. Your posture is steadier. You do not lean toward her approval anymore. You do not carry that old hunger in your face. That kind of change cannot be faked for long, and it cannot be explained into existence. Folks, this has a quiet masculine pull. A woman can sense when a man no longer needs to be rescued by her attention. She can sense when his desire has discipline behind it. She can sense when his silence is not bitterness but self-command. That is why words are not needed. Real transformation creates an atmosphere around you. So stop trying to make her understand your pain. Stop trying to make her regret what she did. Stop trying to win the breakup through speeches, captions, or clever little signals. Win by becoming healthier, sharper, calmer, and more difficult to emotionally access. Win by no longer needing her to witness the win. The most dangerous man after heartbreak is not the one yelling about how he changed. It is the one who disappears into discipline and returns with nothing to prove. If you are ready to let your actions speak louder than your pain, write this below: I act silently. Keep watching, because the next lesson shows how becoming harder to read can create the kind of mystery that silence alone never could. Number 7. Become hard to read. Let's be honest, folks. After heartbreak, being easy to read can keep you trapped. If every post, every look, every move, and every conversation tells the world you are still bleeding over her, then she does not have to wonder. She knows she still has access to your emotions, even if she no longer has access to your life. Being hard to read is not about acting fake, cold, or dramatic. It is not about pretending you are fine while secretly falling apart. It is about becoming a man whose emotions are no longer on display for the person who walked away. You stop explaining your healing. You stop broadcasting your pain. You stop giving everyone a map to your inner world. Picture Warren, 55, a corporate attorney from Philadelphia, after his relationship with Nicole, 49, a divorced consultant, ended suddenly. At first, Warren was transparent in all the wrong ways. He posted late-night quotes about loyalty. He showed up at the same places Nicole liked. He laughed too loudly around mutual friends, hoping they would report that he looked happy. But none of it felt powerful. It felt like pain wearing a costume. Then Warren changed. He did not block Nicole in anger. He did not post revenge pictures. He did not ask friends what she was doing. When people mentioned her, he stayed calm and moved the conversation forward. He still lived his life, but he no longer made his life easy for her to interpret. That shift made him harder to read, and because he was harder to read, he became harder to dismiss. That is the social shift, my friend. When you are too emotionally available, even from a distance, people can place you in a box. They can say he is still hurt, he is still waiting, he is trying to get attention. But when you become calm, selective, and private, they lose that easy story. They have to wonder who you are becoming. A Stoic man does not owe the world emotional updates. He does not use social media as a wound report. He does not turn mutual friends into messengers. He knows that mystery is not created by hiding. It is created by depth. A shallow man must announce every feeling. A deeper man lets his actions reveal only what needs to be seen. And folks, there is a quiet masculine pull in that. A woman may expect your pain to be obvious. She may expect you to chase, react, or show bitterness. But when she cannot read you, when your energy is calm without being needy, present without being available, polite without being open, something changes. She realizes she no longer knows where she stands in your mind. Do not misunderstand this. You are not becoming hard to read, so she will obsess over you. If that is your motive, you are still controlled by her. You are becoming hard to read because your peace is no longer public property. Your healing belongs to you. Your growth belongs to you. Your private battles do not need an audience. So keep some things sacred. Let your work speak. Let your body change quietly. Let your discipline build in the background. Let your smile return without explaining why. When you are no longer predictable in your pain, you become a man with presence again, not through noise, but through restraint, privacy, and steady self-command from within now. If you are ready to stop being emotionally exposed to people who no longer deserve access, write this below: I move unseen. Stay close, because the next lesson is the real test. What you do when she finally reaches back and tries to open the door again. Number 8. Stay calm when she returns. Let's talk about the moment that exposes everything, folks. She finally reaches out. Maybe it is a simple hey. Maybe she reacts to a photo. Maybe she says she was thinking about you. Maybe she brings up an old memory soft enough to make your chest tighten. And just like that, the man who claimed he was healed is standing face to face with the test. This is where most men fail, my friend. They see her name on the screen and all their discipline disappears. The hands get nervous. The mind starts racing. The body remembers her touch, her voice, the way she used to feel close. Suddenly they reply too fast, say too much, open every door, and hand back the power they spent weeks trying to recover. Do not do that. If she returns, understand what is happening. Her message is not proof that she loves you. It is not proof that she changed. It is not proof that the pain was worth it. Sometimes she is curious. Sometimes she is lonely. Sometimes she misses the comfort of your attention more than she misses the responsibility of loving you properly. And sometimes, yes, she may genuinely want to reconnect. But you will never know the difference if your first response is hunger. Marcus Aurelius said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." That is your rule here. Calm first, response second. Do not answer from the wound. Do not answer from the fantasy. Do not answer from the lonely part of you that still wants one more night, one more apology, one more chance to feel wanted by the woman who once made you feel disposable. A Stoic man pauses. He breathes. He lets the first wave pass. He does not punish her with coldness, and he does not reward her with instant access. He responds like a man whose life continued without her. Short, calm, respectful, clear. If she says, "How have you been?" you do not unload your pain. You do not say, "I have missed you so much." You do not pretend to be cruel either. You say something steady. "I have been focused on myself. Hope you are well." That kind of answer has weight because it does not chase. It also does not beg to be understood. It shows that you are not the same man sitting by the phone, waiting for her to save him from his own silence. Now listen carefully. If she wants a real conversation, let her show real intention, not nostalgia, not vague curiosity, not late-night loneliness. Real intention. What does she want? What has changed? What is she willing to acknowledge? A woman who truly wants back into your life must meet the man you became, not the man she left behind. And if all she brings is confusion, do not reopen the wound. You are allowed to protect the peace you fought for. You are allowed to choose distance even when desire still whispers. That is strength, not bitterness. Strength. Remember, folks, this moment is not about winning her back. It is about proving to yourself that you are no longer ruled by the version of her that lives in your memory. The real test is not whether she returns. The real test is whether you abandon yourself when she does. If your peace depends on her message, you are still captured. If your peace remains intact, you are free. If you can stay calm when the past knocks again, write this below: I remain steady. Stay with me, because the next lesson shows the final shift when her name no longer controls your body, your mind, or your future. Number 9. Become truly unbreakable. Let's get to the final shift, folks. A man becomes truly unbreakable when her name no longer controls his body, not when he blocks her, not when he deletes the pictures, not when he tells everyone he is over it. Those things can help, but they are not the real test. The real test is what happens inside you when her name appears, when a memory hits, when someone mentions her, or when you see a woman who reminds you of how she used to look at you. At first your body reacts before your mind does. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your hand reaches for the phone. Your imagination starts building scenes that may never happen. That is not weakness, my friend. That is emotional conditioning. Your mind learned to connect her with pleasure, comfort, desire, rejection, and pain. So when the trigger comes, the old system lights up. But then one day something changes. Picture Anthony, 56, a restaurant manager in Chicago, and Vanessa, 50, the woman who left him after 3 years. For months, Anthony could not hear her name without feeling pulled backward. He avoided certain streets. He skipped restaurants they used to visit. He changed radio stations when a song reminded him of her. Then he started rebuilding. He trained in the mornings. He stopped checking her online. He spent weekends with his brother again. He took a leadership course at work. Slowly, his life became bigger than the wound. One afternoon, he saw Vanessa at a grocery store with a cart in front of her and surprise on her face. 6 months earlier, that moment would have cracked him open. But this time Anthony felt something strange. Calm. Not hatred, not longing, not hunger. Just calm. He smiled, nodded, asked how she was, and kept walking. That was the moment he knew he was free. That is unbreakable. Not because you feel nothing. A dead man feels nothing. An unbreakable man feels, but he is not ruled by what he feels. He can remember her softness without chasing it. He can remember the intimacy without romanticizing the disrespect. He can acknowledge the pain without reopening the prison. This is where Stoicism becomes more than advice. It becomes identity. You stop living as a man who reacts to the past. You become a man who chooses from the present. Her return does not save you. Her silence does not destroy you. Her regret does not validate you. Her new life does not humiliate you. You stand in your own life like a man who finally understands that peace is not something a woman gives or takes. It is something you build and guard. And folks, this kind of strength has a quiet pull. People can feel when a man is no longer desperate to be healed by the person who hurt him. His voice changes, his eyes change, his posture changes. He does not need to announce that he moved on. The room can tell. So how do you get there? Repetition. Every day you choose not to check. Every day you train instead of spiral. Every day you let the memory pass without obeying it. Every day you stop making her the main character in a life that still belongs to you. That is how a man becomes unbreakable. Not overnight, not through anger, through discipline so consistent that the past eventually loses its grip. If you are ready to become stronger than the memory that once controlled, you write this below: I am unbroken. Do not go anywhere, because the final lesson shows what life looks like when a man stops waiting, stops proving, and starts living completely on his own terms. Number 10. Live on your terms. Let's finish this where every man should end up, folks. The real victory is not making her come back. It is not making her jealous. It is not making her regret the nights she walked away from your body, your loyalty, your attention, and your love. The real victory is building a life so solid that her return no longer feels like the prize. That is what it means to live on your terms. A man who still lives on her terms wakes up checking for signs. Did she view my story? Did she post something about me? Is she seeing someone new? Does she miss what we had? His body is in his house, but his mind is still living in hers. He calls it healing, but he is still measuring his progress by her reaction. A man who lives on his terms does not do that anymore. He wakes up and asks different questions. What am I building today? What promise do I need to keep to myself? What part of my life needs order? What weakness must I confront before it quietly controls me? His focus has shifted from her absence to his own direction. That shift is everything. This is the new reality, my friend. You no longer wait for someone to recognize your value before you live like a valuable man. You do not need her apology to start sleeping well. You do not need her regret to start training again. You do not need her curiosity to fix your finances, sharpen your mind, rebuild your confidence, and become proud of the man in the mirror. That is Stoic freedom, not freedom from feeling. Freedom from being ruled by feeling. You may remember her. You may still think about certain nights, certain words, certain touches, certain promises. That does not mean you failed. Memory is not weakness. The weakness is letting memory drive the car. The strength is saying, yes, that happened. Yes, it mattered. But it no longer owns my future. A man living on his terms stops performing his comeback. He does not need to announce his growth. He does not need to prove he is happy. He does not need to post a new life just to make someone old feel something. His life is not a message to her anymore. It is a commitment to himself. And that is when his energy becomes different. Women can feel it. Friends can feel it. Even strangers can feel it. He is calmer, less hungry for approval, harder to shake. He does not chase attention because he is busy building substance. He does not fear silence because he has made peace with himself. He does not run from loneliness because he knows solitude can become strength, when a man uses it wisely. Folks, this is the version of you she never expected. Not bitter, not broken, not begging, not waiting. A man with direction, a man with standards. A man who can love deeply and still walk away when love becomes disrespect. A man who can feel desire without handing over his dignity. So live on your terms by choosing discipline when emotion begs for weakness. Choose peace when pride wants revenge. Choose purpose when loneliness wants distraction. Choose self-respect when nostalgia tries to drag you backward. At the end of the day, the strongest strategy was never about controlling her. It was about reclaiming yourself. No contact may silence your phone. Indifference frees your mind. But living on your terms gives you back your life. And when a man gets his life back, he stops asking who left him. He starts asking who he is becoming next. So folks, let's bring this lesson together. No contact can stop your hands from reaching out, but indifference is what frees your mind. If you are still waiting, checking, hoping, and building your peace around her reaction, you are not free yet. You are just quiet. The real value of this lesson is simple, my friend. Turn the pain into discipline. Let your actions speak. Stay calm if she returns. Become unbreakable, not bitter, and build a life so strong that her absence no longer controls your future. If you want deeper lessons like this, built for men who are serious about stoic strength, emotional control, and self-respect, consider joining the channel as a member. Your support helps us keep creating powerful content for this community. And if this video helped you, subscribe to the channel so you do not miss tomorrow's lesson. Have you ever been ghosted? You thought things were going great, but suddenly she disappears without a trace, leaving you hanging, questioning what went wrong. Or maybe she plays hot and cold. One day she's all over you, the next day radio, silence. It's maddening, isn't it? Let me be brutally honest with you. Women are playing games, and if you don't recognize these games and know how to deal with them, you'll be stuck in an endless loop of frustration, confusion, and heartbreak. But here's the kicker: it's not your fault that these games exist, but it is your responsibility to outsmart them. Today I'm going to give you 10 bulletproof strategies to outsmart any woman playing games with your heart. And no, I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm talking about mastering yourself through Stoicism. You will become the calm in the storm, the unshakable man who women can't control. So buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride that will change the way you handle relationships forever. Before we dive into the 10 ways to outsmart women, let's get one thing straight. Why do women play these games? Why do they ghost you, breadcrumb you, or keep you in emotional limbo? The truth is, women use these games to test your emotional strength. They're checking whether they can control you, manipulate you, and make you doubt yourself. And if they succeed, you're done, you've lost. They'll lose respect for you, and you'll be left chasing after them, desperate for validation. But here's the good news: you don't have to play along. Instead of being a puppet in her emotional roller coaster, you're going to become the master of your own emotions. Through Stoicism, you will learn how to remain calm, collected, and in control no matter what game she tries to pull. This isn't just about winning with women, it's about taking control of your life. It's about refusing to be emotionally manipulated and standing tall as a man who knows his worth. So if you're tired of being played, if you're done with the emotional games, and you're ready to take your power back, stay tuned. These 10 Stoic strategies are going to change your life. Number 1. Detach emotionally. The first strategy is the foundation of all the others. Detach emotionally. Detachment doesn't mean that you don't care. It means that you're no longer controlled by your emotions. You are no longer reactive. Most guys freak out when a woman pulls away or starts acting cold. They become anxious, start overthinking, and try to fix the situation. But here's the truth: women are testing you. They want to see how easily you crumble under pressure. And when you chase after them, desperate for their attention, you fail the test. Instead, you need to remain emotionally detached. Whether she's texting you every 5 minutes or ghosting you for a week, your emotional state needs to stay the same. You are calm, you are centered, you are not swayed by her games. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more attractive you become. Women are drawn to men who can remain composed in any situation because it shows strength, and strength, my friend, is what makes you irresistible. Number 2. Recognize behavioral patterns. Women are creatures of habit, and trust me, once you start paying attention, you'll notice patterns in their behavior that you didn't see before. Why is this important? Because patterns reveal intent. And once you see the pattern, the game becomes predictable, and when something is predictable, you can easily outsmart it. Let's break this down. One of the most common patterns you'll see is hot and cold behavior. One day she's texting you non-stop, saying how amazing you are, hinting at future plans together. The next day, nothing. Crickets. She's suddenly busy, distant, or acting like she doesn't care. It's maddening, right? This is the classic push-pull strategy. Women do this to see if they can get you to chase. If you fall for it and start blowing up her phone, asking, "Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong?" You're playing right into her hands. Here's what you need to do. Recognize that this is a test of your emotional control. She wants to see if she can get a reaction out of you. Most guys fail this test because they panic and chase harder. But you're not most guys. You're going to stay calm, composed, and let her come to you. When you don't react to her hot and cold behavior, you flip the script. Suddenly, she's the one chasing you, wondering why you didn't fall for her game. And let me be clear, this behavior isn't always malicious. Sometimes women do it subconsciously, testing your confidence without even realizing it. But whether it's intentional or not, the result is the same. You need to stay emotionally grounded and unshakable. Another pattern to watch for is the breadcrumbing technique. This is when she gives you just enough attention to keep you interested, but never fully commits. You might get a flirty text here and there, or she'll agree to hang out sometime. But when it comes time to make real plans, she's nowhere to be found. This is a game designed to keep you on the hook, investing your time and energy without getting any real commitment in return. How do you handle breadcrumbing? Easy. You call it out without anger and without emotional investment. You say something like, "Look, I'm not here for half-hearted attention. If you're not interested in spending time together, that's fine. But I'm not going to wait around for you. You're not angry, you're not emotional, and most importantly, you're not chasing." By doing this, you make it clear that you have standards, and you're not willing to settle for less than you deserve. Number 3. Set boundaries early. Setting boundaries isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about commanding respect. And here's the harsh truth. If you don't set boundaries early in the relationship, you're signaling to her that it's okay to walk all over you. Most guys are afraid to set boundaries because they think it'll scare women away. But let me tell you something, women crave boundaries. Why? Because boundaries show that you respect yourself, and a man who respects himself is a man who others will respect too. So how do you set boundaries without coming across as controlling or insecure? First, understand that boundaries are about your well-being. It's not about telling her what she can or can't do. It's about communicating what you need to feel respected in the relationship. For example, if she constantly cancels plans last minute or leaves you hanging with no explanation, you don't ignore it or shrug it off. You address it calmly and directly. Here's how it plays out. "Hey, I've noticed you've been canceling a lot lately and I value consistency. If you're not interested in making plans work, that's fine. But I'm not okay with this back and forth." You're not attacking her, you're not accusing her, you're simply stating your boundary. And here's the magic of it. When you communicate boundaries from a place of self-respect, it forces her to either step up and respect you or she'll move on. Either way you win because you've protected your emotional energy. Let me give you a common scenario where boundaries are crucial. Say you're dating a woman who likes to flirt with other guys in front of you. She might do it to make you jealous or test how much you care. Most guys either blow up and get angry or sit there stewing in jealousy, but not you. You calmly pull her aside later and say, "Look, I'm not into games. If you're interested in other guys, that's fine, but I'm not going to stick around for that." Notice how you're not reacting emotionally. You're setting a boundary and leaving it up to her to respect it. If she doesn't, you walk away. Number 4. Stay calm under pressure. Let's not sugarcoat it. Some women will test you. Not because they're bad people, but because they want to see what kind of man you really are. Will you crack when things get tense? Will you raise your voice, chase after them, react out of fear? Or will you breathe, pause, and respond like someone who's already mastered himself? Staying calm under pressure isn't just some stoic virtue carved on ancient stone. It's a modern power move. It tells the world and her that you're in control of your emotions, not the other way around. And listen, I'm not talking about pretending to be calm while you're seething inside. I'm talking about actually slowing your breathing, lowering your voice, thinking before speaking, letting silence work in your favor. It's that moment when she says something cold or passive-aggressive, and instead of snapping back, you lock eyes and say, "Was that meant to be a dig?" Calm, centered, no heat. And that pause, that control, that changes everything. Because here's the truth, emotional chaos thrives when you feed it, but when you stay grounded, it fizzles out. It has nowhere to go. You break the pattern. Picture this, you're out with a woman, and she suddenly brings up her guy friend, who she says is just super protective of her. You feel that tightening in your chest, that primal flash of jealousy creeping in. The old you might have snapped, shut down, or spiraled into overthinking, but not anymore. You take a slow breath. You smile slightly, and you reply, "He sounds like someone who takes his role seriously." Then you move the conversation elsewhere without being defensive, without getting territorial. That's high-level composure. That's stoic muscle in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, the fire isn't outside, it's in your reaction. And when you master that, you become fireproof. There's nothing more unsettling to someone trying to provoke you than realizing you're not affected. It's not indifference, it's discipline. And it earns respect faster than anything else. Because women, especially those who play emotional games, are drawn to the man they can't shake. They want to see if you fold under pressure, if you can be baited. If they say something sharp, will you lash out or stay solid? A man who can take the tension, hold the moment, and keep his voice calm, he becomes unforgettable, not because he's cold, but because he's centered. So how do you build this calm? Start with breath. Seriously. In the middle of a heated moment, slow down your inhale and exhale. This signals your nervous system to relax, even when your brain wants to react. Use time. You don't need to respond instantly. Take a second. Let the silence stretch. Power is often in the pause. And remember, you don't need to prove anything. When you stay composed, you're not avoiding confrontation, you're rising above it. You're choosing strength over chaos, self-control over self-destruction. Let me ask you this. Have you ever lost your cool and then regretted it? Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment that haunted you for days? That's because reactivity is a trap. And women who test you consciously or not are trying to see if you'll step in it. But when you stay calm, You don't just win the moment, you win respect. You show her she can't manipulate you, push you, or throw you off your center. That kind of stability is rare, and it's damn attractive. So here's your moment. Prove to yourself that you can hold steady when the pressure hits, that you don't need to yell to be heard, that your calm is louder than noise. If you're someone who's trained yourself to pause instead of panic, type this in the comments right now. Calm is my power. Let it be a reminder and a declaration. Now don't go anywhere. The next part is something too many men ignore: how to recognize red flags and walk away when something isn't right. Even when you're emotionally invested, that might be your hardest test of all, but you'll be ready. Number 5. Focus on long-term goals. Here's a reality check, and it's not easy to hear. If you let every flirtation, every mood swing, every unread message pull your attention off course, you don't have goals, you have distractions. And a distracted man is easy to control. When a woman plays emotional games, one of the most effective ways to stay unshaken is to have something bigger you're chasing, something that doesn't revolve around her. Something that puts your time, your mind, and your energy on a path that's not tied to her validation. That's what Stoicism teaches, that a man's strength isn't just in how he reacts, it's in what he prioritizes. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That means before you let anyone else set the pace of your life, you need to know where you're going, with clarity, with purpose, with conviction. So let me ask you, what are you building? Not just financially, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, legacy-wise. Because if you're the kind of man who doesn't know what his long-term vision looks like, then you're likely to fall for any short-term drama that gives you a temporary rush, a little attention, a little validation. But if you're the kind of man who's focused, who's got clear daily disciplines, who's working on a business, building a body, sharpening his mind, then no woman, no text, no cold shoulder can knock you off center. And trust me, women notice that. They feel when you're present, but not overly attached, when you care, but not at the cost of your mission. That subtle detachment, that's powerful, because it tells her, I like you, but I don't need you to feel complete. And that's the kind of man who's magnetic. Let me give you a real example. Imagine two men. One wakes up every day scrolling his phone, hoping she replied. The other wakes up, drinks his water, hits the gym, studies his craft, and plans his next 90 days with precision. Same woman tests both with a delayed text or with hot and cold behavior. One spirals. The other shrugs and goes back to his grind. Who wins? The one who's hard to shake, the one who's on his path no matter what. You need to become that man. And I'm not talking about being cold or acting superior. I'm talking about anchoring yourself to something bigger than momentary attention. Because here's the thing, when she sees that your energy isn't entirely wrapped around her, she'll either step up or step out. And either way you win. It's when you focus on long-term goals that her mind starts asking, what's he building? Why isn't he chasing? What's he so grounded in? That curiosity often pulls her in more than compliments ever could. Women are drawn to a man who knows where he's going, not one who constantly needs to know where she is. So whether your long-term goal is launching your own company, mastering your craft, hitting a physical milestone, or building a family with purpose, hold it sacred. Let it guide your behavior, and let it filter who stays in your life. Because here's the hard truth, not everyone deserves to walk beside a man with a vision, especially not someone who's playing emotional games. If her actions don't align with your direction, then she's not the test you are. Will you stay focused, or will you fold? You can flirt with distractions, or you can commit to the mission, but not both. So if you're watching this and you've already chosen the long game, say it now in the comments. I choose the mission. Short, simple, unshakable. Say it like a man who knows his future matters more than temporary confusion. And get ready, because next we're talking about something crucial: how to identify and walk away from manipulative patterns with zero guilt. You don't want to miss that. Let's go. Number 6. Avoid emotional retaliation. Let's be honest. When someone pushes your buttons, especially someone you're emotionally connected to, the temptation to strike back is real. She ghosts your text. You think about ignoring her for 3 days. She makes a passive-aggressive comment. You're tempted to one-up it with a subtle jab. She flirts with another guy in front of you. You picture doing the same just to balance the situation. But here's the hard truth. Emotional retaliation is weakness in disguise. It feels like control. It feels like power. But it's just reaction. It's letting her behavior shape yours. And that's the exact opposite of Stoicism. When you retaliate emotionally, you're not standing strong. You're handing her the remote to your nervous system. You're letting her lead, and you're dancing to her emotional rhythm. A Stoic man doesn't play that game. He doesn't need to teach a lesson or show her how it feels. He teaches through consistency, and he shows her how he handles disrespect, not with revenge, but with clarity and distance. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that. The best response isn't to mirror the chaos, it's to rise above it. Now let's make this real. Say you're texting someone you've been seeing for a few weeks. You were getting closer, things seemed solid. Then suddenly, she pulls back. The energy shifts. You sense a game. She stops replying like before. Maybe she throws in a just friends comment to test your reaction. You're boiling. You want to pull away. To make her feel what you're feeling. That's emotional retaliation knocking at your door. But instead, what if you took a breath and said, "Sounds like you're figuring out what you want. Take your time, I won't be chasing." Boom. No anger. No drama. Just composed self-respect. That's the move of a man who's mastered himself. Because here's what happens when you retaliate. You lose leverage. You move from being the grounded one to being the reactive one. You become just another guy who couldn't control himself. Women might spark the fire, but it's always your choice whether or not to pour gasoline on it. And don't get me wrong, it's not about being passive. You don't let things slide. But your responses should always reflect your standards, not your frustration. Disrespect deserves distance, not drama. That woman who's testing you, pulling away, seeing how much she can stir up your emotions. She's not looking for your tantrum, she's looking for your foundation. She wants to know, is this man anchored or is he pretending? And when you show her that no matter how she acts, you remain composed, calm, and in control of your own emotional state, you become the rarest type of man. Stoicism isn't apathy, it's direction. It's choosing the higher road, not because you're soft, but because you're focused. You're playing the long game. Let me put it another way. If your emotions can be controlled by someone else's mood, then you're not free. You're chained to their chaos. But if you can take a hit, pause, breathe, and still choose your next step based on your principles, not your pride, that's freedom. It might not feel satisfying in the moment. Revenge rarely does in the long run. But walking away with your dignity intact, that's a power you never have to fake. So next time you're tested, and you will be, remember this: she can act however she wants. But how you respond, that defines the man you are. If you've ever chosen peace over pettiness, self-respect over emotional retaliation, type this in the comments right now. I choose clarity. It means you don't need chaos to feel alive. You've got a mission, a path, a mindset rooted in real strength. And trust me that strength doesn't go unnoticed. Stick around. In the next part, we're talking about how to spot manipulation fast before it pulls you in. You don't want to miss it. Let's keep going. Number 7. Communicate clearly and firmly. Let's make this simple. If you want to stop games before they start or shut them down mid-play, you've got to speak with clarity and firmness. No double meanings, no wishy-washy maybes. Just calm, direct truth. Women who play emotional games don't just test your patience, they test your words. They want to see if you say what you mean, and if you mean what you say. And most men fail that test. They beat around the bush. They sugarcoat. They try to manage her reactions instead of standing on solid ground. But here's the thing. The Stoic man doesn't raise his voice, but he never lowers his standards either. His words are clean, his delivery is calm, and his message unmistakable. Now let's put that into context. You're dating a woman. She cancels plans last minute, but you've noticed a pattern. It's the third time. Most guys would either say nothing or they'd lash out. But not you. You say, I like spending time with you, but I don't entertain inconsistency. If this isn't something you're serious about, that's okay. But I don't wait around. Boom. No drama. No chasing. No trying to fix it. Just clarity, boundaries, self-respect in motion. That's what Stoic communication looks like. And it works because it forces honesty to the surface. It tells her exactly what kind of man she's dealing with. And listen, I know it's tempting to be vague. You don't want to rock the boat. You're afraid you'll scare her off. But here's what really scares women off: a man who says one thing but does another. A man who flinches in his words. A man who talks in circles. Unclear language creates unclear relationships. It leads to assumptions, confusion, manipulation. But when your communication is clean and firm, it draws a line in the sand. She either steps forward with you or steps away. Both are wins. Now let's look at what firm communication isn't. It's not controlling. It's not aggressive. It's not manipulative. You're not trying to dominate the conversation. You're anchoring it. You're making your position known in a way that commands respect, not fear. And here's the beauty: when you speak clearly, you eliminate guesswork. She doesn't need to wonder what you meant. She knows. And that clarity, that's what builds attraction. Not the fake mystery. Not the play it cool and hope she figures it out vibe. Actual direction. Actual confidence. Seneca said, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." When you avoid clear communication, you're suffering in silence. You're tolerating things that don't align with your values. And you're teaching her that unclear behavior is okay. You have to teach people how to treat you, not through lectures, through how you speak, through what you tolerate, through what you let slide and what you walk away from. Let me give you a quick example. You're seeing someone. She makes a backhanded comment like, "You're probably talking to 5 other girls anyway." The weak move, laugh it off, or respond with sarcasm. The firm move, you say, "I don't play those games." If you've got something on your mind, speak directly. You just shut the game down before it started. And you did it without raising your voice. That's clarity. That's strength. The kind of strength women respect, even if they don't always admit it. And if you're thinking, "But what if she leaves after I speak that clearly?" Then she was never going to stay. Real connection starts with real communication. If she can't handle your honesty, she can't handle your presence either. So be the man who says what he means and means what he says. And if you're that man or becoming him, drop this in the comments. I speak with clarity. Own it. Say it like it's who you are. Because the next time someone tries to pull you into a game of silence, guilt, or confusion, you'll already have your answer. Not in what you say, but in how you say it. Up next, We'll talk about protecting your peace, when to disengage, and why walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Let's keep building. Number 8. Prioritize your own well-being. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked in with yourself? Not for work, not for a woman, not to fix anyone else's mess, but purely for your own peace. See, this isn't just about attraction anymore. It's about survival, mental, emotional, even physical. Because when you're caught up in mind games, emotional swings, and constantly reacting to someone else's behavior, one thing always suffers: your well-being. And let's be clear, well-being isn't just spa days and meditation. It's about protecting your mental clarity, your emotional stability, and your physical energy from being drained by things that don't serve you. Now here's the truth most men ignore. If you don't prioritize yourself, nobody else will. Especially not someone who's used to manipulating attention, drama, or guilt to stay in control. Women who play games feed on ungrounded men. Guys who've disconnected from their own needs, forgotten their own path, and made someone else their emotional center. But a man who prioritizes his own well-being, that man is dangerous in the best way possible. He's untouchable by petty tactics. He sees the game before it starts, and he never trades his peace for attention. Why? Because he knows his time, energy, and focus are sacred, and he guards them like a lion. Now I want you to picture this. You're seeing someone. Things are fun at first. Then, slowly, drama creeps in. She gets distant one day, overly sweet the next. She cancels last minute. She brings up an ex. She forgets your boundaries, and you start to feel it. That slow erosion of focus. Your gym sessions get skipped. Your mood gets shaky. You check your phone more than usual. You start wondering what's going on with her. Pause. That's the exact moment to pivot, not toward her, but back toward yourself. Because you don't fix chaos by chasing it. You fix it by returning to your center. That means journaling your thoughts to get clear. That means recommitting to your training, your sleep, your mission. That means pulling back not to punish, but to protect. And most of all, it means giving yourself permission to disengage. You don't owe your energy to someone who drains it. You don't need to explain your distance when your peace is under threat. The Stoics had a word for this: euthymia. It means a sense of inner calm that comes from walking your own path, unshaken by outside noise. When you live from that space, you're not reactive, you're intentional. You don't spiral into her mood swings. You don't bend every time she tests your strength. You simply choose yourself, again and again. And this isn't selfish, it's strategic. Because if you fall apart every time a woman pulls away or acts cold, you're not in control, your emotions are. But when you say, I need space, I need focus, I need to protect my mental state, you flip the script. You make your well-being non-negotiable. And ironically, that's when attraction returns. That's when she sees you as solid, not because you're always available, but because you know when to pull away with dignity. The truth is, prioritizing your well-being filters people. Those who respect it, they lean in. Those who don't, they fade out. Either way, you win. So let me ask you again, when was the last time you protected your energy like it mattered? If you're ready to draw the line to stop pouring into people who empty you, type this in the comments: I choose peace. Say it, mean it, and live it. Because in a world that constantly pulls you in 10 directions, the man who guards his peace is the one who actually wins the long game. You've got one life, one body, one mind. Treat them like gold. Coming up next, what happens when you go silent? Not as a tactic, but as a declaration. You'll want to hear this. Stay locked in. Number 9, practice patience. Here's something most men mess up: they rush. They rush the connection, rush the decision, rush the meaning behind every little message, glance, or delay. Especially when dealing with someone who might be playing games, patience feels unnatural, like you're losing control if you don't react right now. But the Stoic man, he knows that real control doesn't show up in reaction, it shows up in restraint. Patience isn't passive, it's powerful, and it might be the most underrated weapon you have. Now think about this. She pulls back a little, doesn't reply for a few hours, says something cryptic, your instinct, to fix it, to send another message, to ask if something's wrong. But here's the thing, when you move too quickly, too emotionally, you reveal something. You're not grounded. You're giving her emotional power she hasn't earned. And that opens the door to manipulation, drama, and games you don't want to play. What would a man rooted in patience do instead? He waits, not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to let temporary noise shake his core. The Stoics believed in mastering the moment before the moment controls you. That means letting situations unfold without trying to force them, observing before reacting, responding only when necessary and only from a calm state. Let me put it another way. When you're patient, you stay unpredictable. When you're impatient, you become easy to read, easy to bait. A woman says something passive-aggressive. You smile and stay silent. She tries to stir drama with jealousy. You acknowledge, but you don't flinch. She ghosts you for a bit. You move on with your day. That's power. See, patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about choosing when to act, and more importantly, when not to. It's knowing that the best reaction is sometimes no reaction at all. That subtle pause, that delayed response, that calm eye contact instead of an emotional outburst, it sends a message you're a man of depth, of discipline, of self-control. And women feel that. They may not say it, but they respect it. It creates tension. It makes them wonder what you're thinking, what you'll do, what truly matters to you. And in a world full of impulsive, attention-starved behavior, your patience becomes magnetic. Let's bring this down to reality for a second. You meet someone new. She's charming, flirty, but inconsistent. One day she's sending hearts. The next she's distant. Most guys get caught in the loop, trying to decode, trying to fix, trying to impress. You don't play that game. You match her energy without chasing it. You respond, but you never rush. You stay focused on your routine, your growth, your goals. She starts to notice. Why? Because you're not reacting like every other guy. You're playing a different game, the long game, the Stoic game. And that kind of presence is unforgettable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Think about that. It's not what she did, it's how fast you let it hit your emotions. Practicing patience is about slowing down your emotional reflex. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every behavior requires a response. Sometimes the best move is to wait, to breathe, to see what happens next without losing your center. Now, don't confuse patience with passivity. You still lead, you still have standards, you still speak when it's time. But you don't get baited. You don't over-explain, and you definitely don't chase chaos to feel validated. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause, count to 5. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy right now? That little pause, it could save you hours of regret and preserve your peace. If you're serious about building that kind of patience, drop this in the comments. Calm is my strength, because it is. When she's pushing buttons, when things feel uncertain, when your ego wants to take the wheel, stay grounded, stay still, because that moment you didn't react. That's where your power lives. Now in the next part we'll talk about the ultimate move, knowing when to walk away. Not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Let's finish strong. Number 10. Choose when to walk away. Here's something most men don't realize until it's too late. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strategy, and more than that, it's freedom. When you're dealing with someone who plays emotional games, who tests boundaries, who constantly puts you in situations where your value feels questioned, the most powerful thing you can ever do is leave on your own terms. Let's be honest, most guys stay way too long in bad dynamics. They hope things will change. They wait for her to come around. They ignore red flags. They over-explain, over-give, over-apologize. Why? Because they don't want to feel rejected, or they're addicted to the potential of what the relationship could be. But Stoicism teaches something different, something harder but more true. You don't chase hope, you choose clarity. When a situation becomes toxic, draining, or manipulative, the Stoic doesn't argue. He doesn't beg. He doesn't try to teach someone how to treat him. He simply walks, not with drama, not with rage, but with peace. Because a man who knows his value doesn't stay in a place where it's questioned. Now that doesn't mean you bail at the first sign of discomfort. Patience, composure, communication, they all come first. But when a pattern reveals itself, when someone consistently disrespects your standards, your boundaries, or your presence, that's when the decision becomes simple. Do I protect my energy, or do I keep bleeding it? The Stoic chooses peace every time. Let me give you something practical. Imagine this. You're seeing a woman who's hot and cold. One day she's affectionate, the next day distant. She flirts with other guys in front of you. She ignores your concerns, turns every conversation into a test. You've already tried being clear. You've been patient. You've focused on your goals. You've stayed calm. But nothing changes. That's your moment. Right there. You either stay in the cycle or you step out of it entirely. You don't need to yell. You don't need a dramatic goodbye. You just stop giving your time to someone who wastes it. And here's the twist. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself more than the illusion of control. There's deep strength in saying, I'm not angry, I'm just done. That quiet exit. That's what shocks people, because it means you're not attached to outcome. You're loyal to your values. And that makes you untouchable. Epictetus once said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Her behavior, her choices, her games, outside your control, your response, that's yours to own. And sometimes the strongest response is no longer showing up, no longer playing, no longer participating in something that dims your light. Walking away doesn't need to be bitter. It can be a calm return to your path. And when you walk, not because you're pushed, but because you've decided, it creates an energy shift, a power she wasn't expecting, a silence louder than any words. You stop asking for respect and start living in it. Now, if you're listening to this thinking, that's hard, I don't want to walk away yet, that's okay. Sometimes we need to hear it more than once. Sometimes it takes one more cycle to really get tired. But when you do, when you reach that point, remember this moment. Remember that you don't need permission. You don't need closure. You don't even need them to understand. You only need to choose peace over chaos. Your life is yours. Protect it. If you're ready to reclaim your power and only give your energy to what truly honors it, drop this in the comments. I choose my peace. Say it, own it, walk in it. Because sometimes the strongest man in the room is the one who leaves it. If this video hit something real for you, that's not an accident. You're here because you're done playing games, done chasing approval, done living in confusion, noise, and emotional chaos. You're here because you're choosing clarity, strength, and peace. That's what this channel is about. And if that's your mission too, don't just watch. Subscribe. Then, if you're ready to go deeper, join the Stoic community. That's where the men who live this mindset come together. We talk, we grow, we sharpen each other, and we hold the line when life gets loud. You'll find the link below. Most men have no clue how women fall in love. They think it's about flowers, fancy dates, or saying the perfect thing. But the truth, love doesn't begin when she feels safe. It begins when she feels something she can't control. It's not logic, it's not timing, it's energy. It's when a woman meets a man who doesn't chase her, doesn't explain himself, doesn't fall over himself trying to impress. A man who lives in his frame, who brings silence instead of apologies, presence instead of pressure. That's when she starts falling, and she doesn't even know why. And once you understand the sequence, the real psychological and emotional steps, you won't just attract women, you'll change how they see you forever. This isn't about tricks, this is about truth. If you're ready to stop guessing and start understanding what really makes a woman fall hard, stick around. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button, because I don't make content for men who play it safe. I make content for men becoming untouchable. Now, let's get into it. Here's exactly how women fall in love. Number 1. She falls for the man who doesn't need her. That sounds backward, right? Most men are taught to be the nice guy. Always available, always texting back fast, always making her feel like she's the center of his world. And they wonder why she pulls away. Let me break it to you. A woman doesn't fall in love with a man who puts her on a pedestal. She falls for the man who's already fulfilled, the man who's building something, the man who doesn't chase because he's too focused on his mission. And no, this doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means you're selective, discerning, centered. Here's what most guys don't get. When you don't need her, you become exactly the man she wants. Neediness repels. Independence attracts. Every time. She might say she wants attention, validation, reassurance. And yes, to some degree she does. But deeper than that, she wants to feel your gravity. She wants to be pulled into your orbit, not because you need her, but because you're already moving forward with or without her. Think about it. Who's more attractive, the man who's constantly asking, "Do you like me?" or the one who barely says a word but walks with quiet confidence like he's already whole? Women don't want to complete you. They want to join a man who's already complete. That's why the guy who's constantly chasing, constantly checking in, constantly proving himself gets left on red. But the guy who's calm, grounded, slightly detached, that's the one she thinks about when she's lying in bed at night, because there's something she hasn't cracked yet, and that's the spark of obsession. In psychology, this is tied to status and perceived value. Humans instinctively want what appears high value and hard to get. If you're always available, always eager, always accommodating, it signals scarcity, not strength. But when you're grounded in your purpose, when your focus is on your goals, your peace, your discipline, it communicates value. And more importantly, it invites curiosity. She starts wondering, what's he thinking about? Why doesn't he chase me like other guys? What's going on in his life that he's not always texting? That's when she leans in. That's when she starts to invest. Stoic philosophy is built around this exact strength. It teaches us to master ourselves, not others. To remain steady whether we're praised or ignored. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And nothing is braver or freer than a man who doesn't fear losing a woman, because he's already chosen to never lose himself. If she becomes the center of your universe, you become small. But when your universe is vast, full of mission, challenge, meaning, and she wants to orbit that world, now she's emotionally invested. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine two men. Man A meets a woman he likes. He clears his schedule, drops his gym routine, stops seeing his friends. He responds immediately, gives long explanations, and constantly asks if she's happy. Man B also meets a woman he likes. But he keeps his priorities straight. He doesn't shift his focus. He gives her space. He lets her wonder where he stands. Guess which man triggers her emotions? The second one, every time. Because love isn't about availability, it's about energy, it's about polarity. Masculine stillness draws in feminine movement. So here's your move. Let go of the need to be needed. Build a life that excites you. Commit to your physical, mental, and spiritual growth. Let her witness your strength, not because you told her, but because you showed her. And if she walks away, you let her. Because you're not here to beg for attention. You're here to live fully and attract those who align with that frequency. If you've ever felt the difference between being needy and being centered, drop it in the comments. I've seen this. And stick around. Because in the next part we're going deeper into how emotional tension builds attraction like nothing else. Number 2. Emotional tension pulls her in. Let's get one thing straight. Love doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in tension. Emotional tension. The spark that keeps her guessing, wondering, reaching. Most guys try to create comfort too fast. They overshare, over-validate, try to prove themselves by being an emotional open book. But here's the paradox most men never learn. When she always knows how you feel, she stops caring about how you feel. Think about it. If she knows your next move, your next compliment, your next message, there's nothing to be excited about. There's no charge, no pull, no edge. But when there's emotional tension, when she doesn't know exactly where she stands, when your energy isn't predictable, that's when attraction spikes. We're not talking about manipulation here. We're talking about polarity. That masculine stillness, that emotional self-control, that silent awareness. It's like a gravitational field. She leans into it, not because you're withholding, but because you're not needing. And that gap between what she feels and what she can't fully define, that's where her mind starts running wild. That's where desire lives. Let's be real. Most relationships lose their fire not because people fall out of love, but because all the mystery disappears. She knew too soon how much you needed her. You confessed everything. You texted long essays. You rushed to say, "I love you." Now it's all flat. Why? Because there's no emotional tension. Here's a visual that might help. Imagine a guitar string. If it's too loose, it doesn't make a sound. If it's too tight, it snaps. But with the right amount of tension, it sings. That's what emotional tension is in a relationship. Not chaos, not anxiety, but just enough uncertainty to keep the connection alive. In psychology, this is connected to intermittent reinforcement, the same principle that makes slot machines addictive. When affection or attention is given in unpredictable patterns, the brain attaches more meaning to it. So if you're always pouring emotion into her, always texting first, always checking in when she pulls away, you become predictable. And predictable is emotionally dead. Instead, let there be space, silence, a little friction. If she's short with you, don't rush to smooth it over. If she pulls back, don't chase. If she challenges you, hold your ground, calm, grounded, unbothered. That calm response, that still frame, it builds the exact tension that keeps her craving your presence. Stoic philosophy thrives on this energy. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listen, observe. Let her reveal herself, and don't rush to fix what doesn't need fixing. Because when you stay centered, when you don't spill your emotions every time something shifts, she feels that containment, she feels that discipline. And whether she admits it or not, it turns her on. Let me give you a real example. A guy I coached had just started seeing a woman he really liked. She was fun, flirty, but after a few amazing dates she went cold. He panicked, started double texting, sending long emotional messages, trying to clear the air. It only pushed her further away. I told him to pull back. No explanation, no chase, just space. 2 days later, she texts, "Hey, I've been thinking about you." Why? Because the emotional tension returned. She didn't know what he was feeling. She had to wonder. And that wonder created re-engagement. That's the game most men miss. You don't need to be cold, but you do need to be stable. And stability doesn't mean emotional transparency 24/7. It means you choose what you reveal and when. You hold space. You don't rush to be understood. You let the moment unfold. That tension, it makes her lean in. So, if you've ever seen this happen, if you pulled back and she suddenly got closer, drop it in the comments. I felt that tension. And don't go anywhere, because up next, we're diving into the power of mystery and why it's the key to triggering lasting attraction. Number 3. Mystery triggers obsession. Let me ask you something. Who's more exciting? The man who tells her everything about himself in the first week, or the one she can't quite figure out? Exactly. Mystery is the secret ingredient that makes her come back again and again, not because you're giving her answers, but because you're not. When a man is a complete open book, there's no tension, no curiosity, no spark of wonder. But when you're composed, when you're reserved, when you let her feel you but not completely know you, that's when obsession begins. It's like a movie with just enough suspense. She can't stop watching. She needs to know what happens next. And that's where most guys mess it up. They overshare. They spill their emotions too early. They explain their intentions in long, needy paragraphs. They want her to understand them, not realizing that what she feels matters more than what she knows. Let me make it simple. Certainty is comfortable. Mystery is magnetic. The moment she fully understands you before she's earned that depth, her interest fades. But if you hold just enough back, if you let her see glimpses without giving her the full picture, she'll keep coming back trying to figure you out. Because now, it's not about you. It's about her experience of you and the puzzle you become. In fact, this is rooted in both psychology and Stoicism. In psychology, the Zeigarnik effect explains why people remember unfinished experiences more than completed ones. When you leave emotional gaps, her mind fills in the blanks, and that blank space, it's what drives her obsession. She starts thinking, does he like me? Why hasn't he opened up more? Why do I feel so drawn to him even though I barely know him? That mental tension becomes emotional investment. Now, in Stoic thought, mystery isn't about manipulation, it's about mastery. The Stoics believed in inner reserve, not spilling your emotions everywhere, but choosing when and how to reveal yourself. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't tell her how deep you are, live it. Let your actions and presence speak louder than your stories. You don't need to dump your trauma or goals or insecurities on her in week 1. Let her earn access to your world. Let her wonder what you're about. Let her chase understanding instead of sitting back while you over-deliver. Because obsession isn't created when she has you, it's created when she can't quite reach you. Let me give you a real example. A guy I worked with used to unload everything on the first date. His childhood, his fears, his dreams, his past heartbreaks. He thought he was being emotionally open. What he was actually doing was killing any sense of tension or discovery. We flipped the script. He started asking more than answering. He gave shorter replies. Let silences stretch, focused on being present instead of performative. And guess what? His next date, the woman texted, after I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about you, because she didn't have him fully figured out. And that feeling, that's the beginning of obsession. Here's what to do. Don't always give the full answer. Speak with intention, not excess. Ask good questions and let her talk. Hold eye contact, but don't rush to explain your energy. Let your vibe be felt more than your story be told. Mystery isn't about being shady or fake. It's about being selective, private, secure in your identity. And nothing makes a woman more curious than a man who feels like there's more under the surface but doesn't hand it all over on a silver platter. So, if you've ever seen a woman pull back after you overshared, or seen her lean in when you kept a little distance, drop it in the comments. I've seen mystery work. And stay close, because next we're breaking down how masculine calm is what actually breaks her emotional walls down. Number 4. Masculine calm breaks her walls. Let me tell you something most men never realize. It's not your words that make her open up. It's your presence, and more specifically, your calm. Women are emotional creatures. That's not a criticism. It's biology. They feel everything intensely. Their minds can race, their moods can swing, and deep down what they're often searching for is safety. Not the kind of safety where you throw money at problems. Not the kind of safety where you tell her it's gonna be okay. I'm talking about energetic safety. The kind that says without speaking, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not shaken, I'm not rattled by your storm. Most men meet her chaos with more chaos. She gets emotional, and he gets defensive. She tests him, and he snaps. She pulls back, and he panics. And just like that, her walls go right back up. But when you bring stillness, when your nervous system stays regulated, when your voice stays low, when your eyes stay soft but focused, she melts. Because in your calm, she feels something rare. Containment. You become the strong frame her emotions can exist within. You don't suppress her feelings. You hold space for them. You don't try to fix her. You stay steady while she works it out. And that's where trust is born. Not from promises, but from presence. This is where Stoicism becomes your superpower. Stoic men are not emotionless. They're emotionally disciplined. They don't let feelings control behavior. They observe emotion and act from principle. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, it's not what she says or does, it's how you choose to interpret it. Let's say she comes at you hot, accusations, mood swings, sarcasm. What most guys do, they react, they argue, they fall into emotional chaos with her. But the Stoic man stays composed, not out of ego but out of self-respect. He doesn't need to dominate the conversation. He doesn't need to prove anything. He listens, he breathes, and when he speaks, it's measured. That energy, that's what breaks her walls. Because most of her life she's been around men who are either too soft or too aggressive. But when she meets a man who can take her intensity and still stay grounded, that's when she feels truly seen. Let me give you a real-life situation. A woman I spoke with once said this about the man she eventually fell in love with. "It wasn't that he said the right thing, it's that I could fall apart in front of him and he didn't flinch." That's what calm does. It invites vulnerability, not by asking for it, but by earning it through stability. So how do you cultivate this calm? Start by getting control of your breath. Slow, deep breathing tells your body and hers that you're safe. Drop your shoulders, relax your jaw, lower your voice. These tiny physical cues change everything. They create an atmosphere where tension diffuses and connection deepens. Another thing, stop interrupting silence. Most guys get uncomfortable with quiet. They rush to fill it with jokes, comments, explanations. But silence is power. It gives her space to feel, to think, to trust, and finally drop the need to always be right. Sometimes just being present is the highest form of strength, because the man who doesn't need to win the argument is the man who's already won her respect. So if you've ever watched her soften when you stayed calm instead of reacting, drop it in the comments. I felt that shift. And don't miss what's next, because up next we're talking about how space, not attention, makes her chase. Number 5. She bonds through earned intimacy. Let me say something that might surprise you. A woman doesn't truly bond through physical closeness. She bonds through emotional respect, and that respect isn't handed out for free, it's earned. You see, men often confuse access with connection. Just because she opens up physically doesn't mean she's opened up emotionally. Real intimacy, deep, lasting, soul-twisting intimacy, only happens when she feels she's earned a space in your world. Not when you gave it away instantly. Not when you poured your whole story out after 3 dates. Not when you made her your emotional center before she showed she could handle that weight. Let me put it this way. The more easily intimacy is given, the less powerful it becomes. We live in a world of oversharing. Everyone's broadcasting their thoughts, feelings, and traumas online. But true connection, that happens in private, in moments that are built, not rushed. And that's exactly what women crave, but rarely find a man who chooses who he opens up to, instead of bleeding emotionally for anyone who'll listen. That's where bonding begins. When you as a man are slow to open, but intentional when you do. When you give her layers, not all at once, but over time, she feels like she's discovering something real, something valuable, and something exclusive. Psychologically, this taps into the investment bias. People value what they have to work for. When intimacy is earned, it carries more emotional weight, more meaning, more permanence. Now here's where most guys mess this up. They think vulnerability means dumping their pain early. They think being honest means constantly explaining themselves. They think closeness comes from exposure. But here's the truth. Vulnerability without boundaries isn't intimacy, it's insecurity. Real vulnerability happens when the timing is right, when the trust has been built. When you reveal something not because you want approval, but because she's earned a piece of your inner world. Think of it like this. Imagine your life as a kingdom. Most guys throw open the gates. They hand over the keys. They say, "Here, take everything." But the Stoic man, he guards the gate, not from fear but from self-worth. He knows not everyone deserves access. And when someone earns that access, it means something. That's how bonding is built. Women aren't looking for emotional chaos. They're not asking you to be broken so they can fix you. What they want is to feel chosen, chosen for a deeper layer of you. And only after they've proven they won't weaponize it. There's a Stoic principle here too, temperance. It means moderation, discipline, not overgiving, not overeating, not oversharing. It's knowing the right amount of anything at the right time. So how do you apply this? Start by slowing down. When she asks about your past, give her enough to be real, but not everything at once. When she opens up emotionally, listen deeply, but don't feel pressure to match her immediately. Let your depth unfold in layers, not bursts. And most importantly, don't chase closeness. Let it rise organically, because when she feels like she earned your inner world, that's when she bonds. That's when she says, "I feel safe with you, even when you're quiet." That's when real intimacy begins. Let me give you a real-life example. A man I worked with used to overshare on first dates. He wanted to be real. He thought that would show emotional intelligence, but every time women pulled away, until he learned to wait. To hold back not from fear, but from value. Now women chase his attention. They feel honored when he opens up, because it means something. If you've ever experienced the power of earned connection, drop it in the comments. I felt that shift. And don't go anywhere, because up next we're unlocking the surprising way her deepest desire gets activated when you give her space. Number 6. Confidence without validation makes her chase. Here's a truth most men don't want to admit. If your confidence needs to be seen, it's not real, and women can sense that instantly. You see, what pulls her in isn't loud arrogance, it's quiet certainty. Not just confidence, but confidence without the need for her to approve it. That's the kind of presence that makes her lean in. That makes her watch you, study you, wonder about you, because you're not giving her the validation she's used to getting. Think about it. Most guys meet a beautiful woman and immediately go into performance mode. Compliments, validation, constant attention, trying to impress, trying to prove, trying to be chosen. But the man who doesn't need to validate her, who respects her but doesn't pedestal her, he stands out. He flips the entire dynamic. Because now she's wondering about him. What's going on in his head? Why isn't he trying harder? Why is he so damn composed? That tension, that imbalance, that subtle reversal of roles, it makes her chase. But here's the key, you can't fake that energy. You can't just pretend not to care while obsessing behind the scenes. You can't act unbothered while constantly checking your phone for her reply. She'll feel it. Because confidence without validation only works when it's genuine. When it comes from a place of fullness, not emptiness. When you actually believe you're enough with or without her attention. This is where Stoicism becomes your foundation. A Stoic man doesn't need approval from others to feel grounded. He's not swayed by flattery or rejection. He's rooted in self-command. Marcus Aurelius put it like this: "It is in your power to retire into yourself whenever you choose." That's the mindset. You don't chase attention. You don't seek applause. You know your worth, and you carry it in silence. Here's the crazy part. When you remove validation from the equation, your presence becomes more magnetic, because now your energy feels rare, different, unpredictable. Women are used to men who fold the second they see beauty, who lose themselves trying to win her approval. But when you meet her beauty with grounded calm, when you appreciate her without worshipping her, she feels seen, not suffocated. Let me give you an example. One of my clients was stuck in a pattern. Every time he dated someone new, he'd smother them with attention. Daily texts, constant praise, always available. It worked at first, but within weeks they'd lose interest, so we switched it up. He stopped offering compliments every day. He gave space. He let silence sit between interactions. He stopped giving validation unless it came from a place of presence, not need. The result, women started chasing him. Because now every bit of attention meant something. It wasn't expected. It wasn't performative. It was real. Confidence without validation isn't about being cold. It's about being centered. It's saying, "I see your value, but I know mine too." It's showing up fully but not shrinking to win her. It's a calm stare, a slight smirk, a silence that says, "I like you. I don't need you." And that right there is irresistible. Because women don't just fall for a man's words. They fall for how they feel around him. And when she feels like she has to earn your energy, she values it more. So if you've ever seen a woman light up when you stopped over-validating, if you've ever felt her chase harder when you said less, drop it in the comments. Confidence doesn't chase. And stay with me, because next we're breaking down the one thing that amplifies this power even more: your ability to walk away at any time. Number 7. Presence over performance wins. Let's cut through the noise. In a world full of men trying to impress, the one who's simply present always stands out. Here's what I mean. Most guys go into performance mode when they're around women. They crack jokes non-stop, tell wild stories, flex achievements, act like a highlight reel of what they think women want. But here's the truth. She doesn't fall in love with the man who performs the best. She falls in love with the man who makes her feel seen. And that only happens when you're fully present. You see, when you're trying to impress someone, your attention is on yourself. How am I coming across? Did she laugh at that? Is she bored? But when you're present, your attention is on her. You're not calculating. You're there, fully, quietly, grounded, and she feels it. She feels the difference between a man trying to entertain her and a man who is with her. And let me be clear, this doesn't mean being passive. It means being engaged, steady, and tuned in without seeking a reaction. That's the kind of presence that makes her feel like time slows down, like she can relax into the moment. Like she's not being analyzed or tested, she's just being. And in that space, emotional walls start to melt. Now, from a psychological standpoint, presence reduces anxiety and builds trust. When someone senses that you're not distracted, not planning your next move, not playing a role, they feel safe. They feel connected. And in Stoicism, this kind of presence is everything. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." A Stoic man doesn't perform for approval. He embodies calm focus. He doesn't rush to fill silence. He lets things unfold. He doesn't need a reaction. He's already centered. Here's where it gets powerful. When you drop performance and step into presence, you become unpredictable in the best way. Because most women are used to men trying to win them, trying to say the perfect thing, trying to be something more. But when she's in front of a man who just is, unapologetically, that energy becomes magnetic. It's rare, it's grounded, and it's deeply attractive. I had a client once who couldn't stop cracking jokes on dates. He was funny, but women didn't stick around. He thought humor was his strength. Turns out it was a shield. He was afraid of silence, afraid of being boring, afraid of letting his real self sit in the room. So we worked on slowing down, on listening deeply, on showing up without needing to perform. His next date, the woman leaned in and said, "You make me feel calm," and that right there, that's it. Because when she feels calm around you, safe, unhurried, unrushed, that's when the real attraction begins. So how do you build presence? Start by mastering stillness. Breathe deeper. Talk slower. Let silences sit without rushing to break them. Look her in the eyes, not to dominate, but to connect. When you speak, speak with intention. Don't say things just to fill space. Say things that carry weight. Drop the need to impress. Replace it with the desire to connect. You're not there to win her. You're there to experience the moment. To be with her, not above her, not beneath her, with her. Because in that space of non-performance, she gets curious. She leans in. She feels like she's meeting the real you. And that's the guy she remembers. If you've ever dropped the act and saw her respond to your stillness, drop a comment. Presence wins. And stay locked in, because next we're talking about the one thing that intensifies this presence even more. Being completely okay without her. Number 8. Silence is more powerful than persuasion. Let's be real. Most men talk too much, especially when they feel like they're losing a woman. They over-explain, they try to convince, they chase with words. And in doing so, they lose the one thing that could have saved them. Silence. Here's what most guys don't get. The more you try to persuade her, the less she feels you're in control. When she pulls back and you rush to ask why. When she gets distant and you send paragraph texts trying to make it right. When she says she's not sure and you go into sales pitch mode. You're communicating one thing: I need this more than you do. And nothing kills attraction faster. But silence. Silence does something else. Silence says, I don't chase uncertainty. I respect myself too much to beg for attention. If you need time, take it. I'm good either way. And that hits differently. It creates space. It builds tension. It forces her to reflect. Because silence is not passive. It's powerful. It's not avoidance. It's restraint. From a Stoic lens, this is emotional discipline. It's choosing your response, not reacting from fear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence." We can take that even further. Sometimes the best answer to confusion, disrespect, or distance is still silence. Because in silence you're not trying to win her back. You're letting reality speak, and that's more persuasive than any argument. Let me give you a real-world scenario. A woman starts pulling away. She gets cold, distant, less responsive. Most men, they panic, they double text, they call, They ask, "What's wrong? Did I do something?" It's understandable, but it rarely works. Now imagine a different response. She starts fading, and you stay silent. You don't reach out, you don't chase, you don't try to fix anything. You stay composed, grounded, unbothered. That silence, it echoes in her mind. She starts wondering, did he lose interest? Why isn't he fighting for me? Did I just push away a man who actually respected himself? Suddenly the emotional frame has flipped. Now she's questioning, she's reflecting, she's feeling the void. Because when you don't try to talk her back into attraction, you become a man she has to come back to on her own. That's real power. Now silence doesn't mean stonewalling. It doesn't mean punishing. It means knowing when words are no longer useful. It means stepping back to let her feel the contrast between your presence and your absence. Because here's the paradox. The man who can walk away silently is often the one she chases hardest. That silence becomes a mirror. It shows her what she's losing, not because you told her, but because she felt it. It's the ultimate test of composure. Most guys fold under pressure. They can't hold the tension. But the Stoic man, he understands. If it's real, it won't need convincing. If it's meant, it won't require begging. If she truly values him, his silence will say more than his words ever could. So, if you're in a place where someone is unsure about you, don't fill that space with desperate words. Hold the frame. Hold your peace. Hold your power. Because the men she forgets are the ones who tried to explain their worth. The ones she remembers are the ones who never had to. If you've ever stayed silent when you could have chased and saw her come back, drop a comment. Silence spoke louder. And keep watching, because in the next part we'll uncover how choosing yourself over her is what truly locks in her desire. Number 9. Standards trigger désir. Let's be honest, every guy says he has standards, but the moment he's around a woman he likes, he bends, he compromises, he tolerates behavior he would never accept from anyone else. And guess what? She senses it. And when she sees that your standards were just talk, the desire fades fast. Because here's the truth, a man's standards are his spine. They show whether he values himself or not. They tell her whether she can trust his leadership, his judgment, his masculinity. Women may test boundaries, but they're wired to desire the man who holds them. Not with anger, not with ego, but with quiet, steady certainty. The man who says, "That doesn't work for me," and means it. Even if she's beautiful. Even if it means walking away. Because real standards aren't situational, they're personal. And they show up in the small things. When you don't tolerate flaky communication, when you don't chase after disrespect, when you don't accept drama just because you're attracted, that's when she feels something different. Respect, admiration, curiosity. Because you've suddenly become a rare breed. A man who doesn't need to be chosen to know his worth. Now, this doesn't mean being rigid or controlling. It's not about domination, it's about direction. Standards are how you shape your world. They protect your peace, they filter out chaos, and they signal that if she wants access to your life, it's going to mean something. This is where Stoicism comes in strong. A Stoic man lives by principles, not impulse. He doesn't chase every desire. He filters his emotions through reason. He knows what matters and what corrupts that clarity. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are and then adorn yourself accordingly." In other words, get clear on what you value. And don't betray that for attention, approval, or pleasure. Let me give you a real-life contrast. Two men date the same woman. The first bends over backward. He adjusts his whole life for her, cancels plans, ignores red flags, tells himself relationships take sacrifice. The second, he's kind, present, but he doesn't move his boundaries. When she shows up late without a word, he doesn't scold her. He just says, "I don't do disrespect." And he leaves. Guess who stays on her mind? Exactly. Because women don't obsess over the men who give everything. They obsess over the men who require something. Not because they're arrogant, but because they respect themselves. Here's a truth that most guys miss. Standards create sexual tension. When she knows that you desire her but won't tolerate being treated like a backup plan, it lights something up in her. It triggers her to invest, to calibrate, to elevate her own behavior. Not out of fear, but out of respect for your energy. Because deep down she wants to earn her place. She wants to feel like she chose you, but that you also chose her. Not out of desperation, but out of alignment. Standards create that dynamic. They build a frame where desire can grow organically through polarity, not performance. So ask yourself, where have you been too lenient? Where have you accepted less because you were afraid to lose her? Where have you let attraction override self-respect? Now flip it. What if? The next time something felt off, you didn't explain, argue, or try to fix it. You just stood firm in your value and let her decide whether she wanted to meet you there. That kind of energy, that's unforgettable. And if you've ever held your standard and felt her desire shift instantly, drop a comment. Standards change everything. Stay tuned. Because in the final part of this series, we're breaking down what really makes a woman fall hard. The rare moment when she realizes she can't figure you out. Number 10. She falls hardest for the man who can walk away. Here's the paradox that catches most men off guard. The man who can leave is often the one she never wants to lose. Sounds backward, right? But it's one of the deepest truths in male-female dynamics. And it all comes down to one word: leverage. Most guys give it away the second they fall for a woman. They overcommit, over-explain, over-invest. And in doing so, they send a message, whether they realize it or not. My happiness depends on you choosing me. And when a woman feels that, when she knows you won't walk no matter what, the tension vanishes, the mystery dies, the power balance shifts, and not in your favor. But the man who can walk away, who values himself enough to leave when something feels off, who would like her but doesn't need her, that man is unforgettable because his presence never feels guaranteed. His attention is not a given, it's earned. And that kind of energy, it keeps her guessing, it keeps her invested. Now don't get it twisted, this isn't about playing games. This is about knowing your value so well that no relationship, no matter how beautiful or tempting, can shake your foundation. It's about being centered in you. And when you bring that energy into a relationship, everything changes. She starts to self-reflect more. She checks her own behavior. She respects your boundaries without you having to demand it. Because she knows if she pushes too far, if she disrespects your core, if she stops showing up fully, you'll leave. Not dramatically, not to punish, but with quiet certainty. Because your peace means more to you than her approval. This is where Stoicism hits hard. A Stoic man doesn't cling, he doesn't beg, he doesn't chase what's slipping away. He lives by principles. He lets go when something violates his truth. And he walks away, not out of ego, but out of alignment. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." That includes craving love, approval, or attention so badly that you abandon your own self-respect. The man who can walk away. He's never poor in spirit. He's rich in self-worth. He's wealthy in inner peace. He's unshakable. And ironically, that's exactly what makes a woman fall harder. Because now she knows you're not replaceable. You're not one of those guys who sticks around no matter how she acts. You have options. You have clarity. You have strength. She can't manipulate that. She can't predict that. And she sure as hell can't control it. And in that space of healthy detachment, a powerful thing happens. She starts to earn you. Not because you demanded it, but because your presence requires it. This is why women fall for the rare ones. The men who don't fold. The ones who stand up quietly and say, I'm not here to convince you, I'm here to connect. But if that's not what you want, I'll leave with dignity intact. And the moment you show her that you can walk not because you're cold, but because you're clear, that's when she looks at you differently. That's when she sees a man she can trust. Because if you can walk away from her, you won't abandon yourself. And that, ironically, is what makes her fall the hardest. Not your charm, not your looks, not even your attention, but your freedom. Because freedom means you're there by choice, not out of fear, not out of need. Not because you don't have options, but because you chose her anyway. And there's nothing more powerful than that. And that's it. If you've made it this far, you're not like most men. You're the kind of man who thinks deeper, who chooses clarity over chaos, who doesn't just want a relationship, you want self-mastery, respect, and something real. That's what we're building here. This channel isn't for men who chase, it's for men who lead. So if that's you, subscribe, turn on notifications, join the Stoic Brotherhood. Inside our members' community, we go even further. Real strategies, private lessons, Stoic mindsets that rewire how you handle women, pressure, and power. You want to level up? This is the place. I appreciate your time, your focus, and your discipline to sit through all 10 parts. Remember, she doesn't fall for the loudest man in the room. She falls for the man who lives by his standards, who holds the silence, and who chooses himself first. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. There is a strategy so powerful, so quietly seductive, that no contact looks weak next to it. And listen, folks, most men never understand this. They think no contact means winning. She leaves you, stop texting you, stop calling you, disappear, and you wait for her to feel your absence. But if you are still watching her stories, still hoping she misses your body beside her, still wondering